do in the case of students then, who have been trained to study the methodology?
I don't ever ask a student to unlearn anything.
Yeah.
I do not correct bad habits. Once a habit has been formed and it is deeply rooted in the person, I consider it to be a conditioned reflex that will surface with a stimulus, that will bring it to being, and he can't take that out of his brain. That's there, and the more he fights it, the more he's enhancing it.
Sure.
So instead, we begin to substitute a new habit to replace the old one. So we don't fight the old one, we just don't bother with it. We start learning something new to replace it with. But it must be in the art form. If he's very mechanistically inclined, where he needs to know what his embouchure's doing, he needs to know this and that about the combined applications physically of how to do, then I get him interested in a phrase that may have to do with, making people want to dance.
Yeah, I'm trying to relate this now to a singer who is all concerned about the expansion here, and this is low, and this is low,
It's
and
much
this is
easier with
raw.
a singer.
Yeah.
Because, all your parts are you under control of your brain. We have, on a brass instrument, we have acoustical resonance with its peculiar laws that have to do more with the study of partials and sympathetic vibration. Unlike the piano, where you have pitch vibration is sent in by the factory, plus forced resonance from the soundboard. The player only has to provide motor force to get the piano to function. When it comes from the factory, it's fully functional if it's healthy right away for playing. Now, I have great respect for pianists, so don't think of this as a put down, but you could run a cat down the keyboard and it'll play. Now, brass instrument is not that way. Out of the three factors of sound, you have to have a motor function, a vibration, and resonance. Two come from the factory with a piano. Only one comes from the factory with a brass instrument. That would be resonance. But the motor force, the breath, in other words, source of vibration, vibrating surfaces of the lip, are part of the player under control of the player's brain. With the singer, all three are inherently part of the player, of the singer himself, and as a result, really should not be looked into in terms of anatomical studies by the person doing the singing. What we try to avoid is turning inward into self-analyses. Now, it becomes a study of resonance. Adequate breathing, proper breathing, in a sense that you have sufficient fuel that can be used with whatever is necessary to produce good vocal sounds, but the rest becomes a study of music. It becomes a study of communication, of the ability to impart messages. In other words, the big study in singing, as far as I'm concerned, is resonance, not respiration. Now, everything that goes on the body, it goes on in the body, or whatever the body does, from any aspect at all, is under control of the brain. But the brain has divisions. In other words, we have the ability to order our bodies to accomplish certain things. In other words, we can walk, we can run, we can jump, we can do all sorts of very complex maneuvers, and actually many of them take considerable training in the maneuver. But we never work by individual muscles. We work in systems of muscles. We find the functions that they have in life. And with these functions, we'll convert them into being an acrobat, athlete, dancer, or whatever, or in singing. They'll be using large muscles, where in a singer will be using primarily small muscles in terms of function, vocal fold activity, laryngeal, and things of this type. But So often, once you get into the study of the muscles themselves, many of them will not feed signals to the thinking part of the brain at all. They will have pain nerves in many instances where if you herniate yourself, inflame a group of muscles, you will know it exists, but you wish that you didn't, because the pain nerves will be signaling the brain. But for instance, the diaphragm has no sensory nervous system. I mean, not sensory, it has no position nervous system where it tells you where it is at any time. You can't feel, you can't get the perception of what's happening. You can through other muscles that are allied with it, the abdominal, muscular, and so forth. But if you herniate the diaphragm again or inflame it, you will know very quickly that you've got one. And you'll wish that you didn't, because it's going to hurt like the dickens. But the point is, to get it to function, you don't have to do anything of that type, like the young lady that just left the studio. Yes. In inhaling, you use the word suction. If you take a vigorous breath, in other words, on inhalation, and you suck that air into the mouth, as soon as you do, that's the signal for the diaphragm to descend and lower the air pressure. Other muscles that have to do with enlarging the thoracic region. In other words, there can be rib cage ascent, there could be anything in the enlargement aspects immediately is turned on by your demand to suck air into the mouth. You don't do it by consciously enlarging your body. In other words, you breathe to expand rather than expand to breathe. Now, if we study the machine system as how we're made, then we reverse that. You definitely expand to breathe. That would be the mechanics of it. But you can't bypass the control panel in the brain. So you can't use that technique. That's for the doctor to take care of when you have problems in your body. Then you see the physician who is trained to take care of the injury or the malfunction. But in the use of it, you have to be able to signal your body what you want to accomplish. If you want a large breath, take a large breath. It's that simple. It's coming down the scale of complex thoughts to simple little orders. You want to take a big breath? Take a big breath. It's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal.
You want to blow? Blow. Now, when you want to make music, you will blow under the conditions of dynamics and the art form type of thought. This is where the training comes. So as you train the brain in the musical phenomena, you are also training all of the musculatures that have to work so that you can have this music.